afternoon or morning, wherever you are. This is Sandy Shellis, and not really planned again, but hey, we'll wait for people to join us. I see Michael has already joined us. Hello, Michael. Tonight, I find this author, and he has a website. I just find him very thought-provoking. His name is Umair Haque. And the article tonight is called Capitalism Isn't Going to Survive the 21st Century, Will We? Now, it's not an article. It's not a doomer article. It's just a thought-provoking article. And I like it. And I thought, well, I'm feeling all right. I'm going to do this. Because what do I do now? Once a week, maybe I come on with you guys. Hi, Lori. Let's say hi to everybody. And then I'm going to get this started because I think it's good. And I think we're going to have some good conversation. It says it's an 8-minute read. And then we can talk about some of the things that were brought up in it, which, again, if anything, ECH is thought-provoking. It is for conversation, discussion. I don't like fighting in the comment sections. I don't like people calling people's names. I don't like racism. I don't like bigotry. I don't like any of it. That's not what the page is about, by the way. Okay. Let's get started. All right. So here's a tiny question. Do you think capitalism will be around 50 years from now? 100? I don't, he says. At least not as the fundamental organizing principle of the world as it is today. I think if it's the best we've got, well, my friends, we're toast. I don't think capitalism is going to survive this century because it's already making everything more or less self-destruct. Let me do this a little easier here. Everything self-destruct. Indulge me for a moment. Now, indulge him because I'm just narrating. Indulge me for a moment. And think with me about this. Imagine the world 50 years from now, maybe 100 years from now. Don't add any kind of amazing technologies like free energy for everyone and magical reinventions. No miracles allowed. We're trying to think clearly. Just extend now, gently, right? And slowly, 50 years forward. And then 100, if you'd like. What do you see? Here's what I see. A world ravaged, troubled, broken, and shattered. Climate change has left cities to drown. The weather's become more violent, and everything's more unpredictable as a result. As people flee to zones of relative security, societies, already destabilized by inequality and corruption, begin to buckle and break. But there aren't enough jobs to go around. They've been automated away. What used to be factories teeming with workers is now a plant buzzing with robots. Even creative and analytical jobs have been automated away. Books and songs and films and laws, all written with the help of AI, artificial intelligence. Yeah. If not, buy it. Bang! There goes the economy. Society, as a result, operates according to something like a caste system. Now, there are the ultra-rich, the old poor, and the new poor, and nothing in between. What used to be middle class, the defining achievement of modernity, is long gone. What's a middle-class job, or a life, or an income? Mind, values, all relics of a bygone age. Instead, in the new caste society, what safety there is found in patronage. Get a billionaire on a billionaire's good side, and maybe he'll toss you enough pennies to eke out a decent living for a while. Oh my gosh, let's take a break. Hi, Jeff. Everybody's saying hi, so hi, Kim. Hi, Torstein. I have to do this. I can't help take a break. Hi, Henry, Patty, Sherman. Okay, and Bev, wait. Bev is there too. Hi, Bev. And hello, Gregory. This is great. It's awesome. So let's go because I want to have this. Yes, Lori says it's a look into the future article. It kind of is. He does like, it's almost like to me, it was almost like, am I reading science fiction? What am I reading? But it's thought provoking. So let's go on before my voice starts to hurt my neck. So as a result, the economy has turned dark. People have turned to vice and crime just to make a living. Women sell their bodies online, which is to say their feelings, because they must compete with sex technology. Ugh. Men sell violence in whatever way they can. Maybe they join this mafia or that mafia, whether it's called a corporation or not, as it is today in Russia. As a result, knowledge, insight, thinking, all of these things, which have always been great luxuries, grind to a halt. And with them go gentleness, decency, civility, and tolerance. Those words are so important to me and to this page. Gentleness, decency, civility, and tolerance. The atmosphere of the age is therefore one of abuse and violence and greed and despair, ruin, a world on the perpetual brink of fascism. Extremists are always blaming all of these problems: a dying planet, not enough jobs, money hoarded at the top, and the most vulnerable, the other, the weak. Who are those? They're the ones fleeing into zones of safety from elsewhere. Usually, they find themselves put into camps, farmed out for profit, or maybe just starved to death. Demagogues and authoritarians rise to the top as a result. They offer these broken societies protections of three kinds. First, they offer the pure protection from the vermin that have come in to infect them. The climate refugees, migrants of collapse. Second, they offer the good people protection from the worst kinds of fascists. Third, they offer everyone protection from the worst ravages of the epic problems of an age of ruin, even if it's just a kind of psychological safety. Does my portrait frighten you? Or does this sound like we've already begun on the way to such a place? Have I overstated the case, he says. Go ahead and think about it for yourself. If nothing changes, does or doesn't the future resemble the above in its broad contours? Does the present? You're right to say thought that my portrait feels incomplete. Even amidst all this, societies collapsing, economies ruined, planet dying, there will be islands and oceans of prosperity. What will they be like? Let me think about this. They will have to be places that use every resource they have, whether rivers or trees or human minds and bodies, much more considerately, carefully, and delicately. Those resources will have to be put genuinely beneficial uses. They can't just be chewed up to create more Facebooks, because such things benefit no one much in the end. They only create more misery, hatred, unhappiness, loneliness, and despair, which means resources are being used up only to make life go backwards. To use all their resources, which is to say, there are many kinds of capital, whether social, intellectual, natural, human, creative, more wisely, they won't be able to simply say, you guys maximize the profits you earn out of that stuff. Everything else but making more money is pointless. Instead, they'll have to go way beyond our idea of profit and make sure their organizations are actually putting all those resources to uses which benefit people. That's work that will take a generation and thousands of dedicated young people. creating something like the GDP and profit of the future. But which people? Who decides? Such organizations are going to have to be managed not just by and for shareholders, but their boards and governing bodies will have to be composed of members from all groups and ranks and strata of society. It will be a tough job. It'll be a tough job designing that. Think of Elizabeth Warren's plan to put workers on board and then square it. That's hard work too. And that'll take more, thousands of minds, more time, more ideas, creating the organizations, whether we still call them banks or corporations of the future. What will people do in these organizations? Their work won't be like today's work. Today's work is delineated and defined by all of the above. There's a board made up of shareholders who appoints a CEO who decides how to maximize profit this nanosecond. And off everyone goes to do it. Hi, Ed. Hi, Ed. Everyone goes to do it, right? And he says, okay, I have to not say hello to you guys until I finish. In our economies, mostly everyone's a profit calculator, whether they know it or not, and I mean everyone, including, sadly, doctors, which I know about. Oh my goodness. Teachers, even when they don't want to be, but tomorrow's organizations, because they'll be made for truer and bigger things than merely earning profits, which add up to a GDP, gross domestic product, and managed for it by boards and governing bodies, not merely made up of shareholders in said profit, will then do very different work too. Imagine human impact designers and eudaimonia architects and so on, and that's the name of his whole website is eudaimonia. So, oh, Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer Hines. I love you too, Jennifer. My Jennifer. Places that can make all these shifts will profit. We'll call them something like second wave social democracies. Probably. Now, why? Because they will have done something vital and crucial, which too few of us, especially those of us in America, understand or consider yet. They will have gone beyond capitalism. The portrait I've sketched for you above, organizations, whether corporations, banks, or while economies that don't just mindlessly maximize profit, but optimize possibility, the fulfillment of you, me, the river, the tree, which are governed not just by shareholders, but by all their participants, and so do very different work, which adds up to a much more meaningful measure of worth and value than profit and gross domestic product. That's a portrait of post-capitalism. It's cool, huh? I like it. Just contrast it with its opposite for a second. Organizations like banks and corporations and hedge funds, they exist for one reason, and that's to maximize profits for shareholders. Hence, they are only governed by them. Therefore, do no other work at all, really. This is capitalism in the real world, outside the fairy tales and fantasies of American economists and libertarian pundits. In the real world, capitalism devolves to a system of exploitation for profit, and what's exploited is everything from the planet to minds to bodies and democracy. They're left chewed through and imploded while money piles up in the coffers of the profiteers. But money's just a way to say that I want to trade my labor with you. And yet not enough money to go around, ironically, is exactly where capitalism ends. Hey, Dee Dee. Of course, without enough money, people's lives begin to fall apart too, because they can't then acquire the basics they need to live. If you doubt any part of that story, Just take a look at America today, where 80% of the people live paycheck to paycheck. 70% can't raise $1,000 for an emergency. Almost nobody will retire, while billionaires grow ultra rich. Could a shortage of money be any more obvious? And yet it also means Americans live without decent health care, education, food, childcare, and so on. I will leave all the money and the economy stuff to the MMT people. Now, imagine that kind of society trying to survive in a world we described at the beginning. A world made of things. Three things, right? Three things. A dying planet, destabilized societies, imploding economies. Can you imagine a country where people are perpetually short of money and hence the basics of life, surviving all that? I can't. I can only see societies imploding perpetually into fascism, authoritarianism, and theocracy. All the forms of collapse which people embrace when times grow lean and hard. Think of what's happening in Brazil. It's for all those reasons that capitalism's obsolete, my friends. Many of you might not want it to be. I mean, sure. Some of you might react angrily and violently to the very idea, but I want you to really think about it. You've been fouled by your intellectuals and thinkers for too long. They fed you a strange, delusional fantasy that capitalism can go on forever. That doesn't mean business, trade, commerce, etc. will go away. They existed long ago, but we didn't call them capitalism because ancient market stalls selling jugs of wine weren't. Yes, I know some of you, notably Americans, will cry, but people have always said capitalism would end. People like Marx, they were wrong. Were they? Europe and Canada are now social democracies, making a decades-long transition beyond capitalism, exploring the frontiers of human imagination and organization. Asia and Africa want to be like them, not us. Poor backwards Anglos now. Capitalism has been dying for a long time. Only America, we're not taught how, why, or even that it has been. Capitalism won't be around 100 years from now. It's ashes. Fascism and feudalism. Oh my God, I talk about this stuff and I didn't even read this piece or write it. And neo-peasants serving neo-lords will be if we stay this foolish and this deluded. The troubles we face now are just a small, small taste of the devastation and ruin to come as the planet begins to die, as societies fracture, as economies dwindle, as our shattered, exhausted resources run out, having been squandered by capitalism in the first place, on mega yachts and palaces in the sky for billionaires, instead of societies that work for all, instead of lives that flourish, instead of things that endure. Capitalism cannot work in a world whose resources are depleted, corroded, burned through, violated, unless by work we mean plunge us back into the Stone Age. It is what did all that destruction in the first place, by exploiting everything for profit, without ever really paying its just, true, or full price. Always taking, never giving, always prying, never creating. The truth of this lesson is, capitalism can't be the organizing force of the world it destroyed. It is already self-evident, if you care to look. Societies that rely on capitalism most will be the first to implode. In fact, they already are. Just look at America and Britain. Asking capitalism to be the organizing principle of the world it ruined is like asking the fire that burned down your house to rebuild it. You can ask, sure, but the fire will laugh and just keep on burning you right down into dust. Now, you tell me that wasn't a pretty good piece. That was thought-provoking. Now, we're going to do some commentary. I thought it was thought-provoking because of a lot of the stuff he said is happening if you read and you're not on the mainstream media every day and you read a wide variety of stuff, like I have the time to, when I'm sitting there feeling like shit, diverting my attention, I read when I can pay attention. Books are a little harder these days. Anyway, let's see what's going on, guys. If you like this as much as I did. Greg, let's see what you're saying. Here's the thing. Taxes don't pay for our federal finances. We tax the rich in order to combat income, wealth, inequality, and control inflation. Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I guess, a bit apart from what he is talking about, but what's the question then? Do we see that if people understood MMT, that capitalism could work? I'm not going there tonight. That's for somebody at real progressives to go for. Let's go. Jeff says, ever notice that the biggest proponents of capitalism are the demagogic bullies? Yeah, well, that's what's happening. I mean, that's what I've seen all my life. I'm no young spring chicken. I've been around a lot of decades. And I like what Jeff said about transitioning to a resource economy. I mean, wouldn't that be wonderful, right? But with 7.5 billion inhabitants of the earth, it has to be country by country to make these changes. And we have to have not the United States leading the way, but it does. Mm-hmm. Well, let's see what else you guys have to say, because yeah, there we go. Michael says, I'm into social democracy, share the wealth. I think that's kind of what he's talking about hi, Kathy. I think that's what he's talking about in the article. It's somehow we've got to get away from the way we are. Dee Dee's here too. I said hi earlier. Hey, so what do you guys think? Patrick says YouTube University is better than school. No, Patrick, I'm sorry. I worked in a university for 20 years. I don't feel that way. But okay. What can a future potential currency be based on besides how fast they produce barrels of oil? That's a good one. There's a group, they talk about all this, peak oil. And there's a couple of things we put up stuff from that talk about that. That's interesting. I can't really answer it. Obviously I'm not an expert. I bring it up. Let's think about it. Let's talk about it. Jim Bird. Let's see. Hi, Jim. Half of the supporters of capitalists inherit or will inherit a large percentage of their wealth. Yeah. And of course, now they don't want to have a tax on the inheritance tax. They're trying to get rid of that, which, I'm not a tax expert, but geez, what will these people pay? Okay, let's see. Books are just best. They are just best. If I didn't hurt half the time and have to fiddle around or get up and do stuff, I would be better at my reading. I used to read voraciously. I read articles because I guess like what's happening with a lot of people is our attention spans are for shit anymore. I mean, a lot of us, our attention spans are just gone. I think that's social media, but Greg says we could easily afford the Green New Deal yesterday. Yeah, we absolutely could. I know that. But it's a mind shift, and it's such a huge one. It's a huge one. And hi, Cindy. Hey, Cindy's with us. Cindy used to be with us, and she is from Texas. Cindy's an activist down in Texas. She's an awesome activist. Cindy, how you doing? Torstein says anthropogenic to ecocentric. Yes. I'm not going to be around, but the young people are. And what are we leaving them? What are we leaving them? Unbeknownst to me, half the time I walked around with blinders on. I'm working, coming home. Yes, living paycheck to paycheck. I had a decent one, but how many of you can say that, you live a little differently than that. I certainly don't live any better than that now. Oh my God. It's scary, but I just thought that it was a good article and I wanted to share it. So I've been on 30 minutes. Let's bring up something unless we're done, because I thought Torstein, if you buy ebooks, you can shovel snow and read and listen to the books at the same time. Yeah, ebooks are good. Ebooks are good. You know what I do in the vehicle? Because I have to drive to these doctor's appointments, right? And I hate it. And I will tell you, I joined a pool because I can't really do any more exercise since my neck is so screwed up, my back is screwed up. I joined the pool because I got to get rid of this extra weight that I put on since I've been so messed up, right? But you have to drive. And I live rurally, so it's 25 miles down and 25 miles back. So I try to make, a bunch of things to do down there at one time. But I did go. And then I was like in pain for 48 hours. Everything in my back, in the bones, and the neck was killing me because I'm not Superwoman anymore. And I can't do all those things I used to do. But that's a body breakdown. That's not, maybe my capitalistic body is breaking down. And I need a resource recovery. Let's see, Greg says, we need to fully transition off fossil fuels and make nuclear energy obsolete. We need hemp fuel, solar, thermal, tidal wave, and wind. We need a lot of things. And I'm never going to say, no, we're doomed. We don't need to do it. Technology is going to go on. But do we need the technology that he talked about in the article? Like, do we really need to have scientists and engineers designing sex dolls? Do we? Women have enough trouble. We got to compete with freaking dolls? Boy, how about, everything? Artificial intelligence, that's a whole big thing. I can't, personally get into here with you guys. But, well, Jim says we hit bottom. If we hit bottom, we have nowhere else to go but up, no matter what's going on. We have nowhere else to go but up. And we can get involved with one of the organizations, the activism, that's going on, that I see, that I absolutely love, that I'm frustrated that I can't do more physically out there. The Extinction Rebellion, all of them. I cheer them on. What I cheer on is technology for all, not technology for the wealthy, and not technology that's pie in the sky. But I don't think we should ever give up. I don't think we should ever say, well, geez, climate change is so bad and the shit we're putting in there is so bad that we give up. We know what's happening. And we know that there is a controversy out there with the scientists with this whole, the methane controversy now. I don't know if any of you know about it, but irregardless of what, we go on. We fight for what we want. Torstein says, dolls could, wait. Dolls could really, intelligent conversations. You saw it. Kim says, course, on this entire crappy weekend when the city is shut down, and I was going to spring clean, my back goes out this morning, 9 inches of snow and more coming. But, there's no such thing as climate change. Yeah, you're in Seattle, and I'm sorry your back went out. I really am, because my back and neck are perpetually out. So, let's see, Patty says, watched a great documentary earlier about the landfills in San Francisco. Hey, send us the link. Jav, any system we use needs to guarantee that human beings never have to starve to death. I have been reading a lot about agriculture too. And actually, Jonathan O shared something in the Environmental Coffee House group. And it was a video that showed what China's doing with agriculture in deserts. So while we really don't want population to go any higher, we really don't want, as a planet, we don't want to have to exhaust our resources, but we do want to be better at what we do. I don't want to see, the I don't want to see 10 billion, but I won't, I'll be dead. But I don't want to see my kids see 10 billion. And she says she's having no kids. So that was good. Yeah, that made me go off onto a whole different tangent. But well, I think this was pretty good. Greg says, yeah, we can also recycle plastics and use them in our roadways instead of drilling for more oil to make asphalt out of. I think anything at this point, anything is a good thing that will work. Again, I don't say I know what's going to happen. I'm not anybody who can tell you, well, you know, just the IPCC says we have to stop using everything in 12 years. Well, we should have stopped 20 years ago. But I'm never going to say never to an idea. Nope. Hi, Nikki. I'm over the debate on climate change. We need to change the narrative to the right to clean air. Wait, to the right to clean air, water, soil. Well, I agree with that. The narrative can be both, though. What we need is to have a good place to live. We need a decent, clean planet. Absolutely. I don't think it's a left or right narrative necessarily. I think it's a correct narrative. I think the narrative is climate change is happening. It is. We have to get off fossil fuels. We have to stop burning CO2. But in the meantime, we got to clean up the planet. Like people like Martin Hutchison, who runs around Europe on his elliptical bicycle with his dog, doing his documentaries on plastic. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Torstein says 40 years ago we should have stopped. I know, but no one is going to, I'm not cheering on extinction. I'm not cheering on any of it. I'm cheering on let's make this and let's let the kids, it's their turn. Let's let them, the younger people, let's let them be. You know, I know this whole political discourse between, I see it on Twitter, you know, the left and the right, and they're arguing. And now they're trying to tear down Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on the right. And they're trying to tear her down and say that, you know, she's this and she's that. It's just gross, really. I mean, here's somebody, a young person, and already they're tearing her ideas down, even within her own party. So that's what we have to combat. We have to combat, well, neoliberalism. I guess that's what it is, neoliberalism. But yet, I digress. About the last thing I did in Oslo, Norway, government quarters before they blew it up, was stick anti-tar sand stickers on walls and signs. Okay, you know, you did things. You did something. We that's what we got to do. Greg says, look who owns the politicians. They're bought and paid for by the fossil fuel conglomerates. Talking to the choir. Let's see. Nikki says, I agree, but as soon as we say words like climate change or global warming, we create a debate of it, if it's real or not, when we can achieve what we need by changing our tactics. Yeah, I think that is not, those are good words. That's good. Like, good words. You have good words, Nikki. I see where you're going, because we don't, in the movement for a clean planet, for a better, you know, place, for kids, that whatever happens, still, we need to not have language that turns people off. I understand. Yeah. Thank you, Nikki. Definitely, that was really cool and articulate. And we're all for that. Here where I live, we fought a pipeline and we're going to fight it again now. Bureaucracy. We're up against bureaucracy. You're welcome. I like conversation. Discourse. This is what we're all about. Not arguing, not dismissing people, not saying that, you know, calling people names. No, that's not where I'm about. I guess because I was an affirmative action officer for 20 years and I always, you know, we had policies of civility and respect, like the 4 words that were in that article, you know, it's what it is. I think that if we don't, we're going to never get anywhere. We have to step outside ourselves. You know, I do it all the time. I got to keep myself in check, because sometimes when you're anonymous, like on Twitter, you know, social media, the tendency is to be ignorant, rude, and horrible. And YouTube also. And people are doing it all over. That's not going to get us anywhere. Michael says the younger generation is on the right track. Our generation totally dropped the ball. Well, I think in a way we had the ball for a while, but we were kind of brainwashed by the media, television, and I'm not going to call it fake media or any of that. We were brainwashed by the capitalistic society. We grew up in. I see it. It is what it is. I mean, things could have changed, but now we know. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get back out of here. Now we know. And Greg says, star of the fossil fuel industry. Yeah. Well, I try. It's hard. I have to go out. And I have a gas sucking truck and a lot of you. But if I have the money and if I'm still around, I'd be the first in line to try something electric. That would work where I live in a rural area. Well, Jeff says, wait a minute. Nope. Karen says, pipelines. What the frack? Bad policy making from the paid puppets. Oh, yeah. It's a national fuel corporation, and it's a big fight in Western New York because we wrote 5,700 letters. The New York State DEC didn't grant them the permits, therefore it didn't happen, but they were still taking land. They took a girlfriend of mine's land, the eminent domain, they could do that. So it's another fight that we have to gear up for, in my local area. And I can't, the people around here where I live are warriors. They are activism warriors, and there is an Extinction Rebellion group that started up in Buffalo, New York. So, Western New York, woohoo! I'm giving you all shout out, all the activists in Western New York, because they're the warriors. I'm telling you, I wish I could be a warrior. I'm a keyboard warrior now. I can't, well, not right now, but we'll see what happens. I never say never. Maybe I can get better. All right, guys. Well, I'm not going to keep you all night unless somebody really wants to bring something up that they want to talk about that's in relationship to this. A Nissan Leaf. It's really cute. I'm not looking for cute. Where I live, I got to have functional. I got to bring the garbage to the dump when I'm able with my husband, because I haven't been able to do it since I had my neck surgery. And what do you have? Henry has a 1 liter runaround. Well, you live in the city. My option is actually, and I always put up on my Facebook page pictures of horses and buggies in the Amish. It's not so funny. They're doing it, but they're not going 25 miles to the YMCA pool like I am. Yeah, they're wanting to frack in Northwest Georgia in a known area that is prone to earthquake. Honey, they're wanting to frack everywhere. Everywhere. Hey, Cindy, are you still with us? If Cindy K, if you're still with us, what's going on in Texas lately? What have you been working on? I should bring Cindy back on and tell us what she's been working. I know she went for permaculture, and that's really cool. And I don't know if she is, but Nikki says they make some really good electric trucks now too. Well, actually, a woman I know was putting in to her place. She has property and some little business, I think, and they were going to put all kinds of electric generating stations. And around here, the electricity is mostly from the hydropower in Niagara Falls. Not perfect, not great, but, and I don't have my solar panels yet. Costs money. Oh, Cindy, you're here. Okay. So, Cindy, if you want to comment in the comment section, anything that's going on down there, Cindy's an awesome activist. She took us with her on all kinds of marches when she was with Environmental Coffee House. It was great. It was great. I'll wait for her to comment. No fracking in Greenland yet. Pfft. How are they going to get anything with the mush of the permafrost melting? And Greg lives in Georgia, and he hates how they're wanting to frack all over your state. Right next to us in Pennsylvania. That's the whole reason, is the Pennsylvania gas will come through New York to go up to Canada to get sold overseas. So that's a big people can buy another big yacht. Well, Cindy, maybe I have to bring you on with me again so that we can talk about permaculture, because she got certified, or she got a certificate, degree, what she did. And it's awesome because where I live, even though half of me is like, you know, I can't see myself getting out there to plant everything because I'm so messed up. Give it the old try. Give it the old try. Yeah. We should offer homeowners subsidies to install solar panels. Well, I believe in rooftop solar, and Nakia Botham, who's with us, who does the live streams, and she can get me into solar. I'm just guessing I'm not ready, or I'm a little scared to do any kind of financial thing because of uncertainty. I have uncertainty in my life. Cindy says there is so much going on. She doesn't know where to begin. Well, Cindy, come on with me. We'll have a good conversation at some point. All right, guys, I think that it's been a really good conversation, and I have really enjoyed it. Torstein says we've got so much hydropower, he doubts we'll ever be fracked. Good. And Karen says we are the oil barons of the world, it seems. Cindy, thanks for coming. She's studying more. Good. I think it's great. She's just a terrific person, and I was so happy. She got a certificate, and she wants to continue studying and earn the diploma. All right, because permaculture. Another person I follow, Bieltane Cottage, Colette, on YouTube. She made 3 acres in Ireland into this permaculture amazing place. I mean, it is so beautiful, and I would absolutely love to go visit her, but you know, that's flying to Ireland. You know, that's, of course, like friends say, well, if your ass isn't in the seat, they're going to sell it to someone else. But if we keep thinking that way, I don't know. It's a conundrum, cognitive dissonance. All right, guys. Cindy says she'd love to come on with me. That would be great. I would love it. And Kim, love and light. Good night, everybody. Have a really good Saturday and and have a great day Sunday. And think about all these concepts in here, because there was a lot. Oh, wait, Henry, one more comment. There's a fight in Ireland to oppose the fracked gas refinery, and they want to build to process U.S. gas. Oh, I bet. It's just got to stop. You don't have enough time to go into how. Thanks, everybody. I'm glad y'all came. Oh, yes. Okay. Torstein's plugging his site, Frozen Earth. Okay. Everybody go to Frozen Earth and check it out. And if Jennifer's still here, don't forget Jennifer, who did the methane bomb. Awesome. I love you all. Really, I do. Thank you. I took a shower. I put makeup on. I said, I'm not going anywhere. As far as I'm going is back out into the living room, but it was so cool to see you guys. Thank you, Nikki, for being here too. This was really good. I really enjoyed it. Thanks, guys. And remember, good conversation, no ignorance, no name calling, discussion, and understanding of the other person's viewpoint without having to put them down. Good night.